This is the triple moon goddess symbol. I made some jewelry out of it. This is a necklace. I'm going to set stones in it. I hand carved that out of wax and cast it myself. And I'm going to make a ring out of it too. So I made that simple symbol, but I wanted to make it cooler looking. So I sketched this. So you can see there's the triple moon, and then see I sketched that the other night. And so what I did was I cleaned it up with graph paper and a compass. I made a Xerox copy, and then I glued I made 2 copies, and I glued the 2 copies onto this silver sheet, and then I hand cut it out with a saw. See, there's the 4-sided moons, and then right next to it is the square star in the back, right there. I'll show you in a second. So here's how it turned out. You can see the square in the back, you can see the 4-sided moon, and I hand cut a circle in the center, so it's 3 layers of metal to give it texture. It turned out really cool. So what I did was I made that, handmade that first piece, and then I made a mold out of that first piece, and you can see the logo in there. I'm going to use this symbol as my logo for my new jewelry company. That I'm doing just my jewelry designs for myself. That's my new logo for my jewelry company. And so I made a mold, and because I wanted to see if the wax would pump, because it's kind of thin, and a hallmark of really high quality jewelry is not having it too heavy. I struggled in the past with making jewelry that was just too thick and stuff, because it's harder to make thin jewelry. So there's this small one. I made 2 of them, handmade, cut out of silver sheet, 3 layers, and then I assembled them, and then I made a mold, and that's the wax from the mold. That's how the wax comes out of the mold right there. That's blue wax. And so that blue wax you cast. Now here's one of my castings. And it turned out. And when it turned out, I was so stoked. I've been working on this project for like a few weeks now. And so not only was the wax able to pump in there in the mold, turned out, it also cast good. So there's the big one. Really awesome. So that's a casting right there. So what I did was I got a moonstone, appropriate. I made that center circle design. I made that width just for this moonstone right here, this size of moonstone. So what I did was I got this wire, this silver right here, silver bezel wire. And what you have to do is you have to hand fabricate a bezel setting. So you bend it around the stone, and it has to fit perfectly. It can't be too small, and it can't be too big. If it's too big, you have to get in there, cut it apart, file down some, and so that the stone fits perfectly snug inside of there. And then once it's lined up, I used the torch, and I melted the bezel together. And then once it was round, I put the bezel on top of that thing, got the torch, and torched and melted silver, welded that setting onto the top. Very carefully, I might add. And then, so what I did next, now that I had the center done, I got 4 stone settings. Those are silver stone settings, round bezel settings. And I purposely cut the inside of the moons to be just slightly too small, smaller than these bezels, so that you have to take this burr and with the foot pedal drill, see it's the same diameter as the outside of that setting. So what I did was you take that burr and it's connected to the foot pedal drill and you burr out the seats for the stone settings. I burred them out, and then so that those dropped right into each one of the inside of the moons. And I made it all even and perfect, and then I welded it again. Obviously, didn't light the torch up and not assembling it right now. I'm just showing you what I did because the jewelry, I'll show you the jewelry at the end of this video. So there's the amethyst. So I wanted to use cool colors because, the moonstone. So I bought these amethysts just for this job. Beautiful, high grade, nice, rich color, not pale. Little stones. And so now that each one of those was welded into the inside of the moons, like that. Next up, you have to make a stone seat for the stones because they don't just fall in there and you just put it together. You have to be a jeweler at every step of the way. So you take a burr that's exactly the outside diameter of the stone. So that burr is exactly the size of the stone. And you have to burr into that stone setting, and you have to make it so that it drops the stone down into the setting at the perfect depth, not too deep and not too shallow. And then you set the stones, which is a whole nother process. You have to push the metal over the stone. It's complicated. And then there is the bail, the rabbit ear bail that the chain goes through. So what I did next was I welded, soldered, melted silver, and melted them together and stuck that thing on top of the stone setting. Up there with the charcoal block. And there it is. Check that thing out. Look how beautiful it is. It's got the triple moon logo, triple moon symbol, which is an ancient sacred symbol, hidden inside of it. I love it four-sided like that. It's so cool looking. I mean, this thing turned out really nice. It's not too heavy, it's not clunky and like too thick. It's definitely professional. Beautiful rich amethyst, beautiful moonstone. And see the sharp points? The stones just set into the inside of the moon. Turned out beautiful.